you can now start to ask much better questions. For example, your question might actually be, okay, well, how do I generate the number of inquiries my business actually needs to get those 50 bookings? Welcome to the Cake Academy podcast, the podcast for cake makers who want to raise their standards, price with confidence, and build a business that actually works. I'm Cheryl, cake business coach and founder of Cheryl Bottomley Cake Academy and Tier & Co cake management software. And each week I'm going to be sharing honest conversations, practical strategies, and real industry insights to help you move from simply making cakes to running a profitable and sustainable cake business. So if you're ready to stop undercharging, stop second guessing, and start building something stronger, you are in the right place. So let's get into today's episode. So, welcome to this week's podcast. And this week is all about how many inquiries do you actually need to get fully booked? And what if getting fully booked wasn't about hoping for more inquiries, but simply understanding the numbers behind the ones that you already have? Now, for many cake makers, bookings can feel a little bit unpredictable at times. Some months inquiries come in regularly, other months it feels really quiet, and this is totally natural, especially if you're working in the wedding industry as well. But there are things that we can do to help with this, whether you're making wedding cakes or other types of cakes. And the concept of it is very simple, but you need to know your numbers. And the number that we're going to be talking about today is your conversion rate. So what do I actually mean by conversion rate? Now, some of you might already know this, but for those of you that don't, basically this is your inquiry to booking conversion, and it's simply the percentage of inquiries that then convert into confirmed orders. It's as simple as that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep the numbers really simple because I'm going to be honest, my maths isn't the best without a calculator, but you'll understand what I mean. So in this example, if you have 10 customers that inquire with you and then 5 of them go ahead and book with you, so they've confirmed and they've actually paid the booking fee and secured the date, that means you've got 50% conversion rate. Now, once you understand this number, something really powerful starts to happen. It means that you can work backwards from the number of bookings that you want, and everything sort of like falls into place. So let's just have a little look at this in a bit more detail. So we'll work this out again with easy numbers, but let's just imagine that you want 50 wedding cakes or 50 celebration cakes in a year. So that is your goal. Now, if your inquiry to booking conversion, let's say, is 50%, that means half of the couples or customers that actually inquire with you will book with you. So, what we know here now is that if half of them book with you, you know that you need to then double the amount of inquiries that come in to reach that goal. So to get 50 bookings, so we know that your conversion rate is 50%, you will need around 100 inquiries coming in. So can you see that that becomes now much clearer? So for example, let's say 2027 or whatever year, I want 50 wedding cake bookings. Okay, well, so to get those 50 wedding cake bookings, I need 100 that becomes more clearer. And this is where, for example, a lot of people, a lot of cake makers will say, oh, my goal is I need more bookings. And instead of thinking that, you can now start to ask much better questions. For example, your question might actually be, okay, well, how do I generate the number of inquiries my business actually needs to get those 50 bookings? So my question now is, how am I going to get those inquiries? Or you might identify that your conversion rate is low. So you might ask, okay, what in my process needs to be changed? Okay. Now, there is a little caveat here. If you listen to this, it might highlight that you're not actually tracking your inquiries properly. Okay. Or you might need to go back and have a look at if you've got them like logged on a spreadsheet, anything like that. You might need to just go back and have a look at what your conversion rate is. Now, if you're not tracking them, don't worry. I didn't at the start either. And it's something that, if I'm honest, it didn't even cross my mind. So if you're not tracking them, start to do that straight away. Now, I would also say, don't delete any customers that don't go ahead and book with you because you need those to work out what your conversion rate is. So don't delete them off your spreadsheet or whatever it is that you use to track your inquiries. Or if you want to delete them, I would leave it for a really good chunk of time before you actually delete that data because you need the data to be able to understand the numbers. Now, obviously, as well, tracking in one place helps you keep organized. As we all know, inquiries come from all over the place. So if you've got a spreadsheet, something like that, just log them on a spreadsheet. And you can have columns like the date of the initial inquiry, the customer's name, obviously the date of the celebration, where the inquiry came from, and then just a simple column to say whether that couple booked or not. Now, if you do wedding cakes and sometimes with celebration cakes as well, the customers can come back to you like months and months later. So this is why it's important not to delete it. But what you're actually going to see over time are patterns. And you will begin to understand what percentage of inquiries actually become real bookings. Now, some cake makers might have a 30% conversion rate, some cake makers might have a 40% conversion rate, and some might have a 60%. And that is okay. Everyone is going to be different. And like I said, if your conversion rate is really, really low, it might be that you want to look at your inquiry process and how you're responding and how quick you're responding, things like that, because it might just be little tweaks in your business that you need to do. Now, once you know your number, like I've said, you can then start planning properly. And if you need a system, we also have Tier and Co cake management software where you can actually log your inquiries and convert to bookings, and they're tracked obviously in one place in the system. So instead of trying to piece everything together from emails, messages, and notes, everything just sits in one place. And like I said before, over time, you can clearly see how many inquiries you receive and how many convert to confirmed orders. And it actually, within the Tier and Co cake management software, it actually shows you that conversion rate in real time. So you don't have to kind of go back on spreadsheets and sit and sort of like work it out. It gives you a much clearer understanding of your business performance. Now, once you understand your conversion rate and the number of inquiries that you need, the next piece of the puzzle becomes very, very obvious, and this is your marketing. So, if we use the example that we had before, um, you know that your business needs 100 inquiries. So, we're working from the example that we used before, where we wanted 50 wedding cakes and we need 100 inquiries coming in. So we know that we need those 100 inquiries to generate those 50 bookings. And then you can start asking, okay, so where are those inquiries coming from? And you might already know that anyway. But what that means is when you know where your inquiries are coming from, you can focus more of your time in that place. And this is where visibility plays a part in this as well. And it means that marketing in your cake business is really about being visible, like I said, in those places where couples are already looking for you or your customers are looking for you. And that could be things like your website, so appearing in search results. It could be things like posting on social media, attending things like wedding fairs where couples are meeting all the suppliers, being listed on directories, building relationships with suppliers and venues. I mean, things like your marketing and your visibility strategy doesn't always need to be social media. There's lots and lots of other ways to do it. And just recently, I was talking with another cake maker as well, and we were coming up with lots of ideas in terms of marketing and where they could obviously promote the business. It's sometimes we overlook the simple things, like we were talking about, if you've got any branded clothing, well, when you're going on your weekly shop, pop your hoodie on or whatever it is that you have that's maybe got your logo on the back. I mean, how many people in the supermarket are going to see the back? Like for me, I've got a hoodie and it's got like my cake business logo on the back. But how many people are going to see that? Like when I'm walking around the supermarket, loads of them. And you never know, you might just get some bookings on that. It's have you got like your business name on your car? And there's lots and lots of different ways that you can do your marketing. And all of these little things will help you and increase the number of people, number of customers that will discover your work. And the more visible you are, the more inquiries that you are likely to receive. So what I want you to do is, instead of thinking about marketing as something vague or something overwhelming, you can start linking it directly to your numbers. So like in that example, if your goal is 50 bookings and you need 100 inquiries to achieve that, then your marketing activity simply needs to generate all those inquiries into your business. So they're leads, if you like, and you want loads and loads of leads in the top of your sales funnel. So lots and lots of leads, because not everyone is going to convert into bookings. But the more people that see our business, the more that are going to convert, and the more you are then going to achieve your targets. And that is why it then becomes much more strategic, because you're no longer just posting on social media and hoping that someone sees it and just hoping for the best. You're building visibility with a clear purpose and to generate those number of inquiries that your business needs. And once you understand that relationship between the inquiries, your conversion rates, and your bookings, your cake business starts to feel much more predictable, because you're going out and you're chasing those numbers. You're working with real numbers, and that is one of the biggest shifts that you can do in your business to get those bookings coming in and turning. If you're looking to go from a hobby business to a more structured professional business, it's little things like this that really, really help. So I hope you enjoyed this week's podcast. If you want to have a look at what we mentioned before about the Tier and Co Cake Management software, there is a 14-day free trial, so you can come and have a look. There's also a free Facebook group as well. So actually, and you could come into the Facebook group and have a look at all the video tutorials before you even sign up. But I will link everything into the show notes so you can have a read of those. So I will see you next week, and I hope you have a lovely week. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Cake Academy podcast. If today's episode gave you clarity, challenged your thinking, or helped you look at your cake business differently, make sure that you check the show notes below for any links, tools, or resources that's been mentioned. If this episode helped you in any way, I'd really appreciate it if you shared it with another cake maker. You can leave a rating or you can write a review. These simple actions make a real difference and help more cake makers find practical, honest guidance for building a stronger business. You can also watch the full episode over on YouTube, where I share the full conversation and any visuals that supports today's topic. Thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next episode.